Thank you, Focus on Global South, for this very timely initiative. And we needed this at present time because we must bring our clear view on WTO. And I will mainly speak on the impact of WTO on the agriculture, on the farmers, on the peasants, and generally on the rural poor and workers. First of all, I must say that WTO must be dismantled. This is a worthless institution. It has brought hunger and poverty to many, many millions of farmers, particularly in the colonial, ex-colonial countries. It has brought food rights, forced migration, and climate crisis. These are the direct consequences of WTO policies. So why we oppose and demand dismantling of WTO? Because this free trade agreement is not a free trade agreement. It is not a fair trade agreement. It is totally in favor of the rich countries, of the rich corporations, multinational corporations, agriculture multinational companies that control the whole world wealth and agriculture. And this is a class-based institution that has brought miseries in the lives of millions and millions. We say that this WTO promotes industrial agriculture that leads to corporate concentration and inequality. Now, in the period of coronavirus and Ukraine war, food has become very important all over the world. Prices are going up. In every country, we see wheat, cotton, rice, and other products, agriculture products, their prices are going up. Many countries are putting a ban on export. They are trying to limit for their own national needs, Pakistan among them, India among them, and so on. And they are forced to do this because they believe that there is not enough wheat available for the world because of the Ukraine war, and the prices would go up. Pakistan, which was an industrial, an agriculture country, is importing wheat. Now, as member of Lavia Campesina and PKRC, I would say that this WTO industrial agriculture that has promoted, that is seeking profit maximizing and does not tackle hunger. It is promoting hunger. And we see a lot of new poor. We see a lot of new hungry people. We see in Pakistan 20 million new poor during the last 2 years. And institutions like WTO, IMF, World Bank, they don't care what is happening to the lives of the ordinary people. They only care about their profit, about their growing continuous profit and squeezing of the economies of the former colonial countries and underdeveloped countries. And we see that industrial agriculture is heating up on our planet, destroys soil health, and causes tremendous loss to biodiversity. Industrial agriculture, free trade agreement criminalize peasant seed system and promote intellectual property rights and patents that benefit agri businesses. Now we see that they are trying to control everything. They are trying to control the intellectual property rights, and that's where they want to make maximum profits. Also in Pakistan, they had a Seed Act 2016, which limits the local peasants and farmers to grow seeds. They have to buy from the market, and market is dominated by these corporations. So that's where we are totally opposed. We, the small farmers, we the rural poor, we the peasants, we the tenants, we the people who lives in the villages are totally opposed to institutions like WTO. The investor state dispute settlement mechanism, a regular feature of free trade agreement, threatens national sovereignty and domestic processes. Industrial agriculture exploit cheap migrant labor and particularly affect women and girls in the most of the rural areas. Now, these are some of our points why we oppose it. Now, what are our proposals? What is Lavia's proposals and demands? So, international level, we need an international framework for trade and agriculture policies based on food sovereignty. That is very important. That is part of our whole campaign, food sovereignty for countries, for the planet. And the new framework should pave the way for strengthening local and national peasant agriculture. We are for family farming. We need to guarantee the stable base for relocalized food production and ensure a fair international trade system based on cooperation and solidarity rather than competition and speculations. We must be aligned with the UN drop and other international human rights instruments. This peasant charter by United Nations General Assembly is a guideline for every country. It's not obligatory, but the countries must look at the basis of this peasant charter and act upon. And we must build pressure on our own rulers that they should act upon on the peasant charter adopted by United Nations General Assembly. It has to conduct transparent negotiation on commodity agreements between exporting and importing countries. Countries dependent on food imports must have accessible prices. The food sovereignty for countries, that's our main sort of demand at this time. Countries should have the right to use self-selected internal criteria to protect and promote their food sovereignty. Each country should be able to develop its own agriculture and food policy and protect the interests of its farmers without harming other countries. Now, we also want to reconstitute public food reserves, support its creation at local level, and local produce coming from agroecological farming practices. Now, we want to strengthen the national legal frameworks, bring strong anti-dumping legislation that is necessary to be able to stop exporters to destroy local markets, implement UNDROP as a legal binding instrument that guarantees laws, strategies, and program in favor of food sovereignty and peasant rights, promotion of popular and integral agrarian form. Now, countries like Pakistan, which still have feudal system, where feudal control the parliament, where feudal control the village life, where feudal controls the political life, it's absolute necessary to distribute the land they are holding, thousands of acres of land they are holding, and to stop the grabbing by TNCs of water, seeds, and land. And there's a new sort of wave of construction new cities on the base of forcefully taking the land of the poor peasants around the major cities. And that's happening in Pakistan as well. We are totally opposed to this Lahore Ravi urban development project, which is like creating a new Lahore next to Lahore based on the sheer exploitation of the small farmers. And we want to ensure small scale producer fair rights over productive resources, effective regulation of intensive agriculture, import markets, credits, fertilizers, pesticides, and seeds, and a planned ban on pesticides and GMO. We are promoting in Pakistan sustainable agriculture crop system, sustainable system which which use no fertilizer and which use no pesticide. Thousands of farmers in Punjab, particularly on both sides of Punjab, India and Pakistan, are using this system called picnic, which promotes only natural, sustainable crop system. Now, we also want to give priority to our local markets and regional integration. And that was the main point of the great Indian farmers movement for a year, which fought for their local markets, which fought against the taking over of markets by the multinational companies. And we really salute the bravery, the continuity, and the fight back of the Indian farmers to show a way forward to the peasants of the world that it is possible to defeat one of the most reactionary regime which tried to use the corona period to impose these black laws over the food market. So we are in favor of public systems to build strong and local national economies based on agroecology and food sovereignty. Priority should be given to family farmers, women, and vulnerable groups in rural areas. Lastly, I would say a local and national food governance system based on people, not on agribusiness. Small scale producer organizations, indigenous people, women organizations should be recognized a key role in all bodies dealing with food governance. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon again. As I was saying earlier, I would like to tell the story of based on our experience since the Philippines joined the WTO in 1995. The conditions of the fishery sector in the Philippines was already in crisis when we joined in 95, and it has resulted already in poverty for fisherfolk. There are three subsectors fisheries in the Philippines. One is the commercial sector, large scale and medium scale commercial fishing. Then the second sector is aquaculture, where you inland aquaculture and fresh water aquaculture. The third subsector is municipal fisheries, where majority of fisheries members of Pilipinas are small fishers. When the Philippines joined in 1995, these sectors really, there's a disparity in terms of the use of natural resources and the support of government, where the government is biased, the support is biased in favor of commercial fishers and aquaculture, and small fishers have hardly had any support or subsidy from the government since we joined the WTO in 1995, contrary to the promise that joining the WTO will improve the livelihood of fisherfolk and improve the conditions of the fisheries in Philippines. Small fisherfolks in the Philippines are number two in the one of the poorest sectors in the Philippines. This only means that the government has failed when it joined the WTO in 1995 in the promise to improve the marginalized fisherfolk sector. In reality, this has all exposed the bias of the Philippine government, that its intent is really to increase the profits of corporations, especially in the aquaculture sector, where you need huge capital to engage in aquaculture and the commercial fishing sector. Otherwise, you stay as a small artisanal fisher. So if we look at the entry of the Philippines in the WTO, this really pushed for increased liberalization in the fisheries. And we've seen this, small fisher folks have seen this. That's why we joined many mobilizations at the international level, in ministerial conferences. I remember, for example, the ministerial conference in Hong Kong, where I myself jumped out of a vote to protest against the WTO, shouting that the WTO kills fisheries and fisher folk. I jumped then in the Victoria Harbor in Hong Kong with this demand as early as 2005 that our demand is WTO out of fisheries, alongside our demand in support of farmers that WTO out of agriculture. So the government, since joining, has put a lot of effort, a lot of policies that were supposed to stop the continuous destruction or degradation of the fishery sector. The fisheries code was not able to solve the problem of trade liberalization. In that law, importation is prohibited uh, directly to the wet market, only allowing importation that go to the support institutional buyers like hotels. No? But the government in the Philippines issued necessity to import permits, which means that it's allowed, importation is allowed if government allows it in the name of food security supposedly. So our view here on the WTO, which has already failed, it has never delivered on the promise. And now again, we're talking about these promises again. The Philippines, even before we joined the WTO, they've already entered into bilateral regional agreements where what's at stake are the natural resources of the municipal fisheries. And the result is really the further destruction and degradation of fisheries in the Philippines. It was number one in 2013 and number two now in the poorest sectors in the Philippines. Not only to the farmers, which is the poorest sector. Those who are creating food are hungry. They are struggling to eke out a livelihood. Instead of the Philippines is an archipelagic country that should be there should be abundant natural resources, but yet it a lot of people in the Philippines are hungry. We think the WTO, the discussions now, the negotiations now are just putting us further, burying us further into the rights of small fisher folk to address the need to nurture our natural resources. And this is um, being utilized by corporations. In the structure now of the all of the agreements that are joined the WTO. And like I said, we've not been able to recover from joining the WTO in 1995 in terms of the continuous destruction of the our fisheries and the death of municipal fisher folks and municipal fisheries. So now under the negotiations in the WTO, the continued negotiations now here in MC12, there's a lot of change in terms of the liberalization that has continued. And what we are seeing now is that there are other problems aside from liberalization. Compounding the problem of liberalization are problems of reclamation, for example, where the government is pushing for reclamation projects and supporting that those reclamation projects are seabed mining projects. These projects are destroying the ecological balance of our fisheries and causing displacement of livelihoods of fisher folks who can no longer go near the fishing areas, and they're displacing fisher folks from their entire communities are being displaced out of their homes. This condition is a shows that this condition should be stopped, and we continue the demand to dismantle the WTO, and we will continue to call for demand WTO out of fisheries until we are able to continue to fully dismantle the WTO. We also demand the governments to instead focus their attention on developing the Philippine government to developing the uh, local economy and the and local development of fisheries and agriculture. This is where we see the solutions, where the solutions lie in terms of addressing the crisis of food, crisis of poverty, and crisis of hunger, not just in the Philippines but across the world. This is where this is what we've constantly been pushing for the government not to enter anymore any agreements where what's at stake is the natural resources and our ability to protect our own development and the food for its own people. The government should not enter into any trade agreements where the framework is free trade, where that the free trade that is the WTO is espoused. The only solution, the main primary solution should be the fisher folks working with entire communities who understand that our involvement as a country and the involvement of the sector in the WTO has resulted in the in death of our environment, death of livelihoods and food, and also the rights of people to live and the violations of human rights to have uh, to have how communities to shelter near our fishing areas. The experience should be enough already to show us that, but unfortunately, the government has not listened to the demands of the fishers who've been deeply affected by the fact that the Philippines is a member of the WTO. We are now in a crisis mode of hunger, and we're facing COVID pandemic. We have not fully recovered from that. And here we go again. The pandemic is in fact being used, the crisis being used to say that the WTO can provide the solutions to this crisis, to the solution to the economic crisis, to the climate crisis, to the health crisis, and many more crises that we're facing now. So in Pangisda, our standing position is that fisheries should be out of the WTO until and the maximum position is that we should dismantle the WTO and that developing countries should leave revoke existing bilateral agreements that are only serving the interests of capital and rich countries. So we join Focus on the Global South and all the participants here in whatever we want to put forward, the fight, our collective fight in order to end this neoliberal model. And of course, we are here in solidarity with all of you, and you can expect that we can contribute to this fight. Here in the Philippines, we will do that for the benefit for the benefit of all and to dismantle the WTO and to stop future programs that are being discussed here in MC12. So from Pangisda, Pilipinas, thank you to everyone and all of those who are part of discussions here in Zoom and in the live stream and in the all the other live stream. Thank you very much.